made some changes to the college football playoffs, which we were all hoping for with the wipeout, I guess you could say, of Pac-12, because originally it was 6 and 6. So you would have your 5 conference championship plus the 1 FCS best ranked champion, which would have been Liberty this year. They didn't agree on it. One of the, I can't think, I think it was a Pac-12. I think one of the commissioners didn't agree on it, which then caused it to be on hold, but they agreed on it. So everything's good to go. It moved from 5 to 7. So you're going to have the winner of the ACC, the winner of the Big Ten, the SEC, and the Big 12 get the first 4 spots. And then that 5th spot will go again to the highest rated FCS champion, which would have been Liberty. So what I did is I went in and I plugged in what it would have looked like if that were the case this year. And it's interesting because I took into consideration that Washington and the Oregons are going to be in the Big Ten. That's how I looked at this. So Michigan would have been 1, Bama would have been 2, FSU would have made the playoffs at 3. Oklahoma State would have been 4. Like, that's crazy to think that Oklahoma State with 3 losses, I think, would have been, well, Texas would have been, but they're out of it, right? So I gave it to Oklahoma State, assuming they win the Big 12, because, I mean, you got either Kansas or Oklahoma State, but they didn't even make it. So think about it. They would have been a team in that Final Four spot, which is crazy to think. Something I saw on Twitter, and I highlighted down here on the bottom if you're watching, Notre Dame is in yellow. If Notre Dame finishes the number 1 seed and goes undefeated, they will still be the 5th seed because they won't win a conference championship. So that's why I put them in yellow, to kind of show like this isn't actually because they weren't in the top whatever to be considered, but they would be the 5th seed if they were to be undefeated, which is crazy to think that because they were so stubborn to be in a conference, they would fall from that. They would then be matched up with, again, Liberty. Liberty would have been the 12th ranked team, even though they were a conference champion. And then you got the Ducks versus the Tigers at 8 and 9, Ohio State and Penn State at 10, and UGA and Ole Miss at 6 and 11. Now, obviously, something to note here that's really important is all these teams are going to play each other, right? A lot more than what we lost.
They lost.
Yeah, than what they normally do, because Ole Miss, Ole Miss, Georgia, Bama, Texas, Oklahoma, I mean, they're all going to be beating each other up. Same thing with Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. It's going to be much different than what this is. But again, I just took of how the team finished last year. Who is missing out of this, though, is Washington and Texas, because they were 2 and 3. And again, their conference got eliminated. So they didn't make this particular diagram. But I just wanted to give you guys kind of a visual of what it would have looked like. And it's, again, I put Notre Dame in there, which they weren't in the top 5, so I could have put like a Texas there. But it's interesting. I'm excited to see how it's going to play out. And then also before the show, like an hour before the show, they're talking about going to 14. What's happening, Dave?
Like, what the hell are they doing, man? Like, I'm so sick of this. Like, they keep trying to change every single thing in an instant. They can't stick to anything in college football. You want transfer portal, then you want these new rules, then you want to change the rules next year, then you want to add this, add that. I'm not going to go through all that, but like it's getting to a point where I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed. Just stick to something and then make it work. Like right now, I'm okay with this. Like you don't get people like UCF bitching and complaining about, oh, we didn't get into the playoff. Well, now you're in, you won your conference, you're undefeated, whatever. So it fixes that problem. But then I've found out a way to where somebody could bitch. Okay, well, we're not here because of this, or we're not here because of that. At the end of the day, there's always going to be a team out there complaining about not getting into a playoff or whatever, FSU. But at the same time, like, I do like the structure. I think it's too many games to play from a standpoint. But like at the end of the day, you're getting an all-conference schedule, which if you're an SEC fan, that's a badass thing to look at because you're going to get a good game every single week. Sure. And then you've got a playoff where you're going to have good games through the playoff as well. And people are really going to have to earn their spot into the playoff. And I think it's number 1 through 4, they get like a bye, right? And then the other guys.
So how it would play out right now, looking at this, it's a little off because I don't have the teams winning playing like this bracket, but it's more just filling in blanks. So 1 through 4 would get a bye. And think about this. Oklahoma State, let's say they win the Big 12. That's got to be probably the least rated champion. Like that Big 12 championship is going to be a little weak compared to the SEC and the Big 10, and honestly might be stronger than the ACC. So I'll hold my tongue there. But So if you're looking at it like this, Oregon would play, or excuse me, Mizzou would play at Oregon because the first game is going to be at home at that respective stadium. Penn would play at Ohio State, Ole Miss would play at UGA, and Liberty would play at Notre Dame. And then the remaining games are at neutral sites, which is great for SEC Mike. But that first round is going to be at the favorite seed, which that to me excites me. Could you imagine the Swamp? Could you imagine Florida's like an 8 seed or a 7 seed in a playoff game in December? Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's part to me is the most exciting part of this entire thing. Like that's uncharted territories. Like I don't even know what that even I can't even fathom what that's going to entail. Crazy. Absolutely
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, like, could you imagine what the tailgating and all that's going to be like?
Oh
Too?
my
Like,
God. Insane. It's going to be fun. So I'm excited for that.
yeah. I mean, I like it. Like, I don't like the fact that they're changing a lot of things in college football, but I actually kind of like I'm kind of starting to warm up to the new playoff system. I just hope they do, like, with the new announcement of like 14 teams and all that. I just don't want them to add way too much to where it just gets to being like really cheesy and nobody's going to really watch it until like the final 8 teams, and then they'll start watching it because like you want to see good matchups. You don't want to see like Vanderbilt playing fucking.
Oh, easy. No, this thing, it's going to be sweet. I think 14 might be a little heavy, but again, I think the reason being is if you kind of look at it, it's like, man, when you like 10 to 15 is close. I think that's their problem. Is that 10 to 15 mark? It could be anybody, and they've never really cared about it. I probably have like it didn't matter. Like right 10 through 25 doesn't matter. None of it really ever really mattered, and now it all does. And so you get to that 10 through 20 mark, 10 through 15, I feel like is always usually pretty close. Then there's like a fall off from 16 to 25 as its own little category. So that could be the reason for it. We'll see.